Happy New Year!
Hello everyone, Happy New Year. A new year for new dreams, new desires, and new habits. It's more important than ever to surround ourselves with positive influences. Here at Cut The Fiscal Fat, we will be having monthly sit-downs with entrepreneurs who affect change in their communities. We will be focused on how financial literacy is a fundamental aspect of starting and running a successful business. And in some cases, how the introduction of financial literacy at an earlier stage could have affected the outcome of their success. This week, we got to catch up with Elijah Burns, a Troy, New York native and former Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Siena Saints basketball player who, while pursuing a professional basketball career overseas, started a clothing brand, Yum versus the World.
Okay, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
It means so much to me. Being able to have your own brand is so important, and being able to build upon that. Something that Jay-Z has said a while back, he said, I'm a businessman. And the way he meant it was that he is truly the business. Obviously, he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur. He has, Rock Nation in terms of his artists, but he also has, basketball clients now and football clients, but he is the business and he promotes himself, and that's what brings him, the money. And for me, it's always about promoting myself in the right light and doing the right things all the time. So being an entrepreneur means everything to me.
That's great. That's a really great perspective to have, and it's important to treat yourself as a business in all aspects of your life rather than just on the court or off the court or with your company and without your company. So that's pretty cool. All right. So based on your experience, tell us what it takes to get a self-owned business started, or how you got started.
So logistically, it's not that hard, but actually to really build a business is very difficult. There's so much planning that goes into it, your thought process and how you're going to execute your goals. And it begins with writing down your goals and your mission and what you plan to do with your business and with your company. Creating Yum, it was all about social change and bringing light to what's going on in the world and how each individual person has the ability to affect and create and make change, and making sure that each individual person understands how powerful they are in this world today and that they have a voice. So for me, that's what everything's centered around, is getting people to understand how powerful they are on an individual level, and that we come together as a whole, the things that we can do in America and on the world itself. So that was my goal, and understanding how to execute that and trying to put a plan together and how I was going to execute that and how I'm still trying to execute that is pretty difficult, but it's been an amazing experience. So when beginning a business is always having that goal and never losing sight of your overarching goal.
That's pretty cool. Did you come up with this idea on your own, or did you have like a partner that kind of came up with the idea in tandem with you, or how did that work out for you?
So the idea itself came up on its own, but the name for the company, my actual former teammate helped me out with. We went to prep school together, and we just were brainstorming names based off of the idea. Growing up, I've always been a guy that's led and always tried to put my teammates and people first. And that's how the company was really born, was me saying, at the time we're in right now, someone has to speak up and do the best they can to bring light to situations that are going on in this world. Everybody can have an opinion, and I want to make sure that, their opinions are valued. We have to be able to get to the table and listen. A lot of people speak and we just hear them speak, but we're not truly listening to what they're saying. I feel like that's so important. So trying to bring people together is what the thesis of the company is about. And then sitting with my former teammate on a Zoom call, actually, he rattled off names, and Yum was a nickname that I had when I was a kid. So we said, let's start with that and build off of that.
No kidding. I would never have guessed that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and build off that, and that's how the company was created.
That's cool. What was your turning point when you realized you wanted to make change or create change or have an effect on the world and those around you?
Yeah, I'll just say it's always been a part of me to try to bring people together. Like I've been saying, it's always been a part of me to be effective. I always felt that it's more important than just playing basketball. I have a platform, and to use it for the best of my ability. And that's what my parents and I always talked about, is how can you use the platform you create through basketball to change the world? Because at some point, basketball is going to end.
Right.
So what are you going to do when it ends? And something I always think about wherever I go, whether it's high school and colleges, that I always wanted to leave an impact. So when I leave, when people say, bring up my name, what did I do outside of basketball? I never wanted to just be, oh, he was a great basketball player. He, scored this many points in this game, did that. I wanted to be, he did great for the community. He was active, and he helped open doors for people, or he helped open people's eyes to different things that they didn't see. And that's kind of how I want to leave my legacy, is just basketball be a part of it, but more of the person be the legacy that's led. That's left.
Like basketball was your vehicle to get you to the next level for you, and give you the platform you wouldn't normally have, and the following that you normally wouldn't have if it wasn't for basketball helping you bridge that gap.
Correct.
Where do you see Yum versus the World in 5 years? I know it's a struggle, and we're first starting out, and I know we're still in the middle of pandemic, but optimistically, with your goals and your drive, where do you see it going?
I'm very excited about the direction. And what I'm looking forward to doing in the coming summers, each summer I come home from playing, is having basketball camps and being able to help kids and less fortunate kids have access to sports and access to knowledge that I wish that, I had when I was younger. So whether it be financial literacy, whether it be, college classes themselves, and technology programs. When I was younger, I used to go to technology programs at RPI, and I didn't understand the importance of them at that time, but I'm happy that my parents pushed me to go to them. So what I want to do is use basketball as a vehicle to open eyes to the young athletes about what's going on in the world, but also how they can better themselves down home. Being excited about bringing attention to the kids in the less fortunate areas and allowing them to see what the world is like outside of, their area, their community. So all in all, what I want to do is have those basketball camps. I don't know if we caught that or not. Basketball camps. And then what I also want to do is put a fund together for kids to be able to go on college visits in the junior years of high school. Because not a lot of kids have the opportunity to get out of their community if they don't have the money.
Right.
So I want them to, the world is like, myself being from Troy, I was able to travel a lot because of the community that raised me. They allowed me to see so many beautiful things. I never thought I would have went to Germany. And when I was younger, I've been to Germany, I've been to South Africa, and I've been all across the United States. And if it weren't for my parents and my family, the community that raised me, I would have never had those opportunities. So for me, it's to do my best to help other kids have those similar opportunities that I had, so that we can see how we can change the world together.
How much financial literacy was actually a part of your education?
I'll say this. Financial literacy in terms of my education came through seeing things. So as like you alluded to, I went to LaSalle and then I went to Blair Academy in New Jersey. That was my financial literacy to a degree, because I got to see how kids and how parents and families live different than my family was living. My parents worked hard, both for 2 jobs. I admire what they do, and they've afforded me so many great opportunities. As I got older and I got to travel and I got to see parents, big houses, nice cars, I always ask them, what do your parents do? That was always my thing. How did they get, where they are? Because I knew I wanted that. So my financial, it was seeing what parents did and families did different than mine. And I said, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, this is how I'm going to do that. And to build, start saving, looking into stocks. And that's how I really learned a little bit that I know, and paying attention to that kind of keyed in on my financial decisions. In school itself, not as much. You're not really shown how to write a check anymore in school. Like they don't show you those things, how to balance a check, how to look at stocks, read them, or if you're in business.
Or even know your credit. That being said, even though you kind of answered it for me anyway, but who really put financial literacy on your map, like the knowledge, and why is it so important to you?
My dad always talked about it. He would always talk about it, but we'd never go in a deep conversation and thought about it. But as I said, like just watching and learning, picking up on my own and seeing how other people live, I always knew that's how I wanted to live. That I'm a big observer and watcher, and being able to travel and being around my friends who have more than I do, I will always pay attention to what their parents did, what they talked about, what they're reading. Do they wake up in the morning, read a paper every day, see what's going on, current events, and how that affects what they're doing.
Right.
And just being immersed, being a sponge, is what I love to call it, being a sponge, and seeing how you can learn from anyone and everyone. I think that's what a lot of kids' problem is sometimes, is that not all kids are receptive to information. They kind of block information off at their door and say, oh, my parents know it's right, or my teachers, they don't allow themselves to submerge in their community and learn from everyone. I always feel that you should never be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you need to change rooms, because you always should be looking to learn.
Before you and I end,
Right.
do you have any questions for me? Or do you have anything that you'd like to add at the end as kind of like your final saying or a synopsis for who you are, your goals, anything?
So what I would say to wrap things up on my end is be an active listener and an active learner. That's what I tell everybody. Whenever you get in a situation, always be active in your situation, ask questions, and most importantly, listen. Like, listening is the most important thing, because when we go through nowadays, everyone wants to speak first. I have to say my piece first. I have to say what's on my mind first. Instead of taking back, listening to what your counterpart is saying to you, listening, not just hearing, and then giving an educated response. And if you don't know something, ask questions. And that's something I had to really learn along the way myself, because when I was younger, I would listen, but I hated asking questions because I was nervous, because I didn't want people to know, oh, I don't know this.
Right.
But the only way that you get better, the only way that you succeed is if you ask, if you don't. So don't ever be afraid to ask questions, and as many as you need, because we were talking about other questions are free. You can ask as many questions as you want until someone gets annoyed, honestly.
Yes,
but
seriously.
You ask as much as you want to know. And if you don't learn, you'll never get out of where you are. So always focus on learning as much as possible, because something my parents always would tell me when I was younger is knowledge is power. And if you want it to be monetary, you can. But if you get that power, you're supposed to share it. So as much as you learn is as much as you're supposed to teach someone else. And I think they go hand in hand. The more you learn, the more you teach. And you're able to help the next person behind you. And it becomes a cycle. And then we all can grow.
It was truly an honor to sit down with Elijah. It's an extreme pleasure to meet a driven individual of such intelligence and character who, as he accurately puts it, likes to teach as much as he learns. I'm confident we will be hearing more about his triumphs and his successes as time goes on. Thank you for joining us. Be safe, be smart, and go audit yourself.